it's Mrs. Hannah here and Miss Alexis. And today we have a couple things we'd like to share with you. In this PowerPoint, we're going to talk about your child's daily schedule, what they do throughout the day, Montessori philosophy, and some of the reasons behind what we do here at school.
So a lot of times when parents will come and ask, what does my child do throughout the day? I ask them what they did and they say nothing, or I ask them what they did and they said, I don't know. And so what your child is doing throughout the day here is we all start the day with chapel. You'll see the toddlers, they'll have chapel time, line time, snack time, recess, work time, and then they'll eat lunch. The preschoolers, they'll have calendar, chapel, recess, line time, work and snack time. And then the kindergartners, their favorite time is when they have kindergarten with Mrs. Barrett. And the elementary, they have Bible time, chapel, work and snack time, recess, read aloud, and piano time. That's one of their favorites, and we love to hear it throughout the day as well. In the afternoon, you'll see the toddlers go down for a nap, and then they have music with me, Miss Alexis, and then we end with our goodbye song. The preschoolers, they have nap time and work time. The kindergartners, they get all afternoon to work. And elementary, they're finishing up work, having work time. They're doing typing, art class, group lessons, practice piano, and have their jobs and goodbye. Now, what we're going to focus on for this parent education part is areas of Montessori, Montessori's Decalogue, the 10 pillars of Montessori philosophy, parent involvement, and the Montessori triangle. So first, we're going to talk about what are the areas of Montessori. The very first area of Montessori is the practical life classroom. The practical life classroom sets a child up for independence. They learn how to use the bathroom, how to wash their hands. Everything is at a child's level, at a child's size, so they can practice doing these things that adults do. The next area is science and culture. A child's eyes are opened and they get to see what their role is in our world, what our world is made up of, and the animals and different things that are inside of it. The next area, Montessori, is language. In language, a child will be able to learn and grow their vocabulary. They will start to put sounds to symbols, and they will start to manipulate those objects to form sentences and to learn parts of speech. The next area is mathematics. Mathematics, a child will learn patterns. They will start to see different ways the world is made up of, and they will put things that can be tangible in their hands that they can see amounts to. 1 is this big, but 2 is this big. The next area is sensorial. Sensorial is so important as a child will get to experience what things feel like, what things sound like, what they taste like, smell like, and even what they look like. The next part is Montessori's Decalogue. What is this? In Montessori, we have many unspoken rules. For example, there's works that are not to be done on the floor, that are only to be done on the table. There are works that may only be done with one person, and some works that are going to be done with 2. As teachers, we also have these unspoken rules that we live by, that we go by. The very first 3 are never touch a child unless invited by him in some form or another. The next one is never speak ill of a child in his presence or absence. So if you ask us, how did my child do? And they're standing right there, we're never going to say, they had a rough day today. We're going to wait and save those times that are opportunities where your child is not present. Why? Because we want them to have a fresh start everywhere that they go. The next is concentrate on strengthening and helping the development of what is good in the child so that its presence may leave less and less space for evil. Now, what that looks like is if we see a child doing something wrong, we see, oh, I see that you are confused. What could we do instead? Or I see that you are feeling some sadness in your heart. I loved how instead of going and doing something bad, you chose to come to me. That was so awesome. So we focus on what is good that they are doing. We don't focus on the things that they do bad. Why? Because when we focus on the good, the child will start to know what is good, and they will start to do more good. The next, number 4, is be active in preparing the environment. Take care of it. Help the child establish constructive relationships with it. Show proper place and where means of development are kept and demonstrate their proper use. In something in Montessori, we have something that's called We have to prepare the environment. What that means as teachers is we need to make sure it is ready for a child to be independent. If a child needs to put things in a math book and I don't have scissors or tape ready for them to do it, that's me not setting them up to succeed. The next one is be ready to answer the call of the child who stands in need of you, and always listen and respond to the child who appeals you. Many times a child will be like, Miss Alexis, can you help me? Or Miss Alexis, can you do this? Or Miss Alexis, can you do this? And many times our first instinct is to say no. But as parents and as teachers, when we learn to say yes, when we learn to say, I would love to help you, I would love to guide you in that, it changes a child's journey. The next one is number 6. Respect the child who makes a mistake and can then later correct himself. But stop firmly and immediately any misuse of the environment and any action which endangers a child, his development, or others. What is something that's so neat about Montessori is we as teachers, we as humans, we as children make mistakes all day long. But when we are able to acknowledge those mistakes, when we are able to grow from those mistakes, it makes it a beautiful place. When I make mistakes all this time with students, and what I do is I apologize. I say, oh my goodness, you are right. I am so sorry. Will you please forgive me? And when we model that, our children start to learn that as well. The next, respect the child who takes rest or watches others working or ponders over what he himself has done or will do. Never call him nor force him to other forms of activity. What's really neat is once I showed a child how to do work, I was presenting a lesson with a child and another child was watching nearby. No one spoke or told them, you may not watch, you may not listen. But instead, just moments later, I saw that child watching do the work exactly how it was supposed to be done. Children can learn in many forms. And if we as teachers were to say that they can't learn this way or that way, who are we to stop them or to say they can't? And so what's so neat about the Montessori experience is that a child is able to learn how they learn best. They're able to grow how they grow best. And we have a part in that. The last one is help those who are in search of activity and cannot find it. Many times in a child's first couple weeks, couple months at school, they'll say, Miss Alexis, I cannot find a work. I just don't know what I should do. And I love when a child says that. Why? Because I get to help them on this journey. Help them finding what motivates them. Help find them what area they like the most. There's many times a child, you know, they are an all science kid or they are all about math. But as these children are in their early years, they're finding out things about themselves. They don't know what they like yet. They don't know what they can do. They don't know what their favorite subject is. And this is a time we as teachers can come alongside them and help them discover more about who God made them to be. Another one is be untiring in repeating presentations to the child who refused them earlier, in helping the child acquire what is not yet his own and overcome imperfections. Do this by animating the environment with care, with restraint and silence, with mild words and loving presence. Make your ready presence felt to the child who searches and hides from the child who has found it. Many times we as teachers do things over and over and over again. An example is when picture day comes. A child will have to come and sit in front of the photographer and we have to say the same thing. Oh my goodness, are you ready to smile? You look so cute today, or you look very, very handsome. I cannot wait. Okay, let me see your best smile. Say cheese. And we have to say it over and over and over again. And we as teachers will welcome your child, any child, with that same excitement over and over again. Why? Because they deserve it. They deserve this fresh start and this experience to learning that is exciting. No matter how many times we have to do it, our goal is that the children love learning and that they get a real presentation. They get the right presentation every single time. The last one, always treat the child with the best of good manners and offer him the best you have in yourself and at your disposal. We believe that if we show a child respect and if we respect a child, they will in turn show us as teachers respect. And if a child is not shown respect, they will not learn it. Everything that a child does is learned, is taught. In their first years, they just won't come up with, oh my goodness, I know how to treat everyone. No, it has to be taught to them. And the best way to teach is by modeling. Now I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Hannah for the next part of the presentation.
So next, we are going to be talking about the 10 hallmarks of Montessori philosophy.
So first, in our classrooms, you will see that we have mixed age classes. In where we work, where you guys work, you work with people who are of different ages. That means that you may be working with somebody who's older or younger than you. And we want our kids to have that same experience, being able to learn from those who are both younger and older, because that is exactly what's going to happen in the real world once they get older. Second is the prepared environment. Miss Alexis touched on this a little bit, but in our classroom, it is made and catered for your child, for their needs, for their developmental needs. And so you're gonna see that in the classrooms, in a Montessori classroom, that everything is at their level, at their height. Works are things that they can master and things that they can manipulate and move. Third, Montessori materials. In our classroom, we have so many Montessori materials, which are usually made out of wood or metals. And these materials are specific to the learning progression that takes place, whether it be math, science, language, culture, sensorial. All of them have a progression, and this progression goes from left to right. And so you're going to see as you walk around the classroom, a child usually begins on the left side of the shelf or left side of the classroom, and they move their way to the right during their 3 years that they're usually in the preschool room or the 2 years that they're in the toddler room. Number 4 is repetition. We have a video on the next slide that I'm going to show you soon, but we have so much repetition in our school, whether it's the same daily routine, the same Bible verse. In the language room, we have the same works or the same concepts, we just switch out the material. So we'll still be naming objects, whether it be naming the object of an apple, a horse, or an umbrella. We may switch it and maybe naming a block or naming a shoe, but the concept remains the same. And kids thrive off of this consistency and repetition. I remember when we were at home learning and we were making videos. I got so many videos of kids memorizing Bible verses or kids doing works that we would do in the classroom, and we made a little alteration so they could still do it at home. But this repetition was key.
Ready, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean with your understanding and all the women and the kings, and He will make your path straight. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6.
We do things over and over and over again so that your child has the most success, so they know what to expect when they come into school. They don't ever question, oh, are we doing gym first, or are we doing music first, or are we having work time first? They know what is going to be first, second, third, and fourth every single day. And if it's going to change, we do sit down with the children and we will talk about it, and we'll ask them if that's okay. And we'll use the signs of today's going to be a different day. Can we please change it? And then so they are aware, and it's not just something that's been thrown on them. Last is movement. There is so much movement that takes place in the classroom, from moving works from the shelves to the rugs, from having movement opportunities both in the toddler room and in the preschool room, and then even out at recess. 6 is freedom of choice. In the classrooms, your child has a lot of freedom, and we call it freedom within limits. What this means is they have the freedom to take out works that they feel called to, that they have a desire to do, have a desire to learn from, and they're able to take them out and do them. And this gives them a lot of independence, which is the next one. In our classroom, when a child has to go to the bathroom and they say they need to go, we don't ever say, no, now's not the time. They know their bodies, and they know their bodies best. And so whenever, during the work cycle, during the day, if they have to go, they have that freedom and that independence to just stand up and go. If they need a drink, they can just go and get a drink. And we're offering them tools that they will use and have for the rest of their lives. 8 is respect. Respect is something that is so important, because we respect every single one of your children. And in return, they respect us because it's mutual. And a lot of times we hear parents say, do you act this way for your teachers? Do you act this way at school? And well, sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But either way, every single day, they get to come into school with a fresh start, us knowing that they are fully capable to learn, us knowing that they have so much potential, and we respect them for that. It doesn't matter what happened the day before. It doesn't matter what happened on their way to school. It doesn't matter if they made a mistake a couple of days prior. They deserve to have the best education, and for us to respect them, for them to feel respected, and then the classroom materials as well to be respected. 9, the Montessori view of the child. So I touched on this earlier, but the child, Maria Montessori believed that the child's brain was like a sponge, being able to soak up so much from their environment, from the things around them. So from the things we say, from the things we do, they are watching. And through that, they are learning. And so the child has so much potential, and in our classroom, we guide them and as they learn. And the last thing is the trained adult. A Montessori teacher goes through extensive training just to be where they are today. They have to learn all the materials. They need to learn how to do them, why they do them. They need to know extensions and the different ways that the work can be done, how to challenge it. It takes 3 years in order for a teacher to be fully trained. First, they need to be in the classroom. They need to figure out, what is Montessori? How does this work? Then they're able to go and get trained, and they learn about all the works and the philosophy and how to be a leader. And they work on themselves, and so that they are able to be the best teacher they can be. Parent involvement. So this is the next thing that we're going to be talking about, and this is something that is so important. The school and family should have a shared responsibility for student success. When parents are involved in a child's education, it benefits the child greatly. So what this means is we want to be partners with you guys. That gives you an opportunity to talk about it at home, to be able to say, oh my goodness, you're working on your numbers? Let's count things at home. Oh, I see that you were reading. Let's read those same words at home. Tell me about what you did today. I saw that you've been studying the apple. What are the different parts of an apple? Let's cut it open. Let's have apples for supper. That way you guys can partner with us, and the learning's not just secluded to this building or this space. So here we have a chart of all of the practical life skills to incorporate at home. Remember, practical life is one of the areas of Montessori. Here we have toddler tasks. Some ways that you guys can help prepare your child, start giving them freedom, is by having them throw the trash away. Sweep small areas on the floor. Pick out their clothes to wear. Some of you may be thinking, oh my goodness, my toddler has not done any of these things. It's okay, it's not too late to start. But it is important that we start, because by the time they're 7 to 8, they should be able to mop and vacuum more thoroughly. They should be able to help with lawn care. And if these skills at the beginning aren't touched, they're only going to be behind in these skills. The last thing that we're going to talk about is the Montessori triangle. And this is encompassed of 3 things: the teacher, the child, and the environment. The environment, like we said, it's prepared for them. And this is very important. We have small shelves, small tables, small toilets. Everything is within their reach and grasp. The next thing that we're going to be talking about after the environment is the teacher. The teacher, again, goes through training. And this is so important. They're not only learning how to best teach, but they're learning who they are as a person. What maybe flaws they may have and how that may affect their teaching, and things they need to work on so that they can give your child the best education possible. And lastly, we have the child. When a child enters in, they come in with so much awe and wonder, with so much opportunity to grow and learn. And we are going to treat each child with respect, and we are going to value them as a person. And it's really our job to know everything about them, to figure out what they like, what they don't like, and figure out how we can love them best. And this will conclude our presentation.